And I think I'm live. Hi, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me because I know we had an issue last week. So, Cappuccino and 2020's here. Cappuccino, I saw you on that live cast with Alexa Dunn. And I would have said something, but I wasn't paying much attention because I was working at the time. And then later, because I missed the beginning, I went back and I go, oh, Cappuccino's there. So glad to see you on another live stream. That's not mine. Okie dokie. Oh, and I forgot to mention this last week, but I was watching an Alexa Dunn video and she had this link on if you want to be part of her like release, what do they call it, tour. Anyway, so I said, oh yeah, I'll do that. So I actually got a arc of her new book, The Ivies, which is a young adult thriller. And so I already read that. So I feel kind of like a real booktuber because I actually got a arc that wasn't, from something. What's that site called? It's easy to get arcs from NetGalley, which I did get one, and I decided to pick, just to try it out, I decided to pick something from NetGalley. It was a middle grade, and I didn't like it that much. It wasn't terrible, but it was like, I felt guilty about giving it it would have been a 2 or 3 star review. So I didn't review it. Oh, yeah. Hi, Blue Black. Yeah. Cappuccino, the live stream we're talking about, it was Alexa Dunn, and remind me who the other person was. Something who reads, I forget. But anyway, they were discussing about that Daniel Green situation of should authors comment on reviewers' reviews, which we talked about last week too. Yeah, the Ivies, I gave it 4 stars. What to say about it? Because I thought it was really well written. I read her debut novel, Brightly Burning, which I thought was a solid debut novel. I didn't read her second novel, which is another young adult science fiction set in that same universe. Mostly because I think the hook for the Brightly Burning was Jane Eyre in space, like a retelling of Jane Eyre in a young adult science fiction setting, which I thought was really cool. And that was sort of the hook why I got it. But the second book was Persuasion in Space, which is Persuasion by Jane Eyre. And I never read Persuasion, so I didn't even know the story. So I didn't have that. If she would have done Pride or Prejudice or Sense or Sensibility or Emma, or a story that I knew, I might have been more hooked to pick it up. But I don't know why she did this obscure Jane Austen. Or maybe I'm just not a real Jane Austen fan because I don't know Persuasion. Anyway, Blue Black's here. Mira, okay, Mira, thank you. Books like, whoa, that's it. And it's funny because I'm watching UK Drag Race, and one of the drag queens is named Ahura. So when I first saw her channel, I was like, books like a whore? Wait, what was it say? But it's whoa, not Hora. So, anyway, still haunted by the tree. Oh, the bad book cover video. That was fun. I'm not. You haven't. I don't recall seeing the movie adaptation Persuasion. Okay, I need to get started. So, God, I haven't even thought about a look. So I remember last week I said, oh, the week before I really liked sort of the smaller wings, and I kind of wanted to redo it, but I did these huge wings last week. So I'm going to try to do these smaller wings once again. Color-wise, what did I do last week? I did orange and purple. So this week, mostly say movies. Yeah, me too. The only things, honestly, the only things I've read are Sense and Sensibility and Pride and Prejudice, which is like the basic Austen reading list. I think I'm going to do pink. I did purple last time. Pink and can't do green. Have not had good luck with yellows. Should I try yellow? No, I'm just going to do pink and red. I'm just going to do pink and red. That is an excellent, the Colin Firth version of Pride and Prejudice is the best. And they did it right because it's a mini series rather than like a 90-minute or 2-hour movie. So there was enough time to develop it. They got all the characters right, not just Colin Firth, but Lizzie. I mean, everyone I thought was the mother was well cast. Yeah, that's the best version, in my opinion. Okay, so should I? Well, let me lay down some flash color just to make sure I get some color. So I do have a pink. I do have pink and red. Oh, this is red. Let's do the red. The outside. I probably should use a brush. Okay. Oh, speaking of books, I think I'm going to DNF the project because I'm about, I don't know, like 60% into it, but I'm just having no motivation to read it. I'm just not identifying, or I'm just not intrigued by the main character. And I just find myself, I'm just not reading because I just don't want to pick it up. So I think it's time to, and here's the thing, it's not like really poorly written or anything. It's just, I thought it was going to be a horror novel, and it's, I don't even know the genre, psychological thriller, maybe. Oh, this pink looks exactly like the red. Oh. About cults, about this, there's these two sisters, and one of the sisters joined a cult. And there is kind of an interesting mystery, but boy, am I just not. Just not getting into it. I don't know. And I still have no idea why it's young adult. No idea. It makes no sense to be a young adult book. Yeah. Okay, isn't good to force yourself to. It isn't good to force yourself to read something. Can put you in a slump for other books too. Yeah. Fortunately, I have been exercising, which I reserve, which is the only time I listen to audiobooks to just sort of get me to listen to or to it gets me to go out to exercise, because my treat is that I'll continue my audiobook story, whatever it is. And so I just finished Memory of Empire, which I gave 4 stars. It's more of a political science fiction novel, which is kind of unique, I think. And I'm probably going to pick up the sequel. But I don't know. Here's my issue. I also want to start Gideon the Ninth, because I'm just really want to read a good science fiction novel, and so many people have recommended it, and I've passed it up on Shelve It or Shove It, which I shouldn't have. Are these colors, what are they looking on? Sometimes I think these colors just all look the same. What was I talking about? Oh, so I want to do Gideon the Ninth, and I want to do the sequel to Memory of Empire, but I don't know which one I want to do as an audiobook, because Memory of Empire had a lot of like weird names, like the Texclacan Empire and that type of thing. The narrator I thought was good, but she wasn't great. I think I mentioned before, sometimes her voice sounded robotic, which I thought maybe was a choice for the science fiction genre or the subject of the book, but I think it was just her neutral narration voice. But then I don't know if I want to read Gideon as an audiobook or listen to Gideon as an audiobook. I guess the question is, has anyone here read Gideon as an audiobook? Oh, thank you, Kayla. I finished Memory Called Empire, and I want to do the sequel, but I can't decide whether to do the audiobook or the physical book. By physical book, I mean the ebook. And I need to decide soon, because I don't have anything to read and I want to put down the project. So, okay, let's go to red. Are you guys seeing a difference between the red and the pink? I guess I am, now that I'm really laying it in. Gosh, there's no shading at all. It's a lot brighter than I thought. Okie doke. read either of those books. It is subtle, but I can see it. I think I'm going to put down some black so you can really like see some more variation. Oh, I already reacted to, thank you, Kayla, for asking. Here's the thing is I try to pre-film videos, and so if I miss a week or something, I have backups. And I filmed 2 trailer reactions, Cruella and The Shadow and Bone. And I did that several weeks ago, I think. And I was actually going to do the Shadow and Bone trailer on Thursday. I don't know why I picked, because I just wanted to do a book video. It's like, I need to do a book review video because I did the Poppy Wars, I did Lore, and I did When to Train Your Tiger or a Tiger. And so I just want to mix them up. So I want to do trailers and book reviews. So the trailers, I have to get them out because if I wait like another month or two to put it out, the series is going to start. So I want it out before the actual series is out. But I don't know. We'll see. I am curious to see that series, though. Oh, and then I was going to do some tag videos today, but I also kind of want to do a video on the Stop the Asian violence that's going around because, for one, I'm Asian, and for two, I've experienced some things in the past that maybe is relevant now, but it wouldn't be really book related. But I feel like I should maybe do a video on Asians and stereotypes and violence, and I don't know. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I may react to the series. Kayla's asking about The Shadow and Bones. Here's my thing. I've only read Six of Crows and the sequel, Crooked Kingdom, and I haven't read anything else by Leigh Bardugo. So maybe I should read the books. So many things to read. Maybe I should do that. I don't know. How do you choose your books? What attracts you in a book first? Title, cover, author? How do you approach a new book? Well, obviously, I've been picking books just by the cover and shelve it or shove it, which honestly is not the greatest way to pick a book. I should get started on something else. You know what? I'm going to cut my crease. No, not yet. Okay, let me do some black. So I don't actually suggest people pick their books by the cover unless you're doing a Booktube challenge or something. But in the old days, back when there were bookstores and I used to go to bookstores, I would always go to the science fiction fantasy section. Of course, the cover is what catches my eye. I would always go for, like, if I see like a big, thick fantasy, I would always go for that. I would usually go with fantasy, but sometimes if I'm read too much fantasy, or I'll go to the science fiction. And my third choice would be to go to the horror section. And then once in a great while, I'll go to general fiction. But it's usually, I guess the first thing is the author, but sometimes I just get sick of reading the same author all the time, or authors. So first it's the author, then it's the cover to get me to pick up the book, and then of course it's the blurb. and it's however I'm feeling at the moment. But since I've gone to more ebooks than physical books, it's not that easy, I think, to find a book that you're interested in except through going through Goodreads or what's that site that you guys like? Because I signed up for it, but I haven't really used it. A book recommendation site, or of course your friends. But that's kind of why I liked finding Booktube. It's because since I get books by the or since I switched to ebooks, it is kind of nice having Booktube be a source of getting recommendations. Because even Goodreads, it's like, oh, I want to read a fantasy, and it doesn't have to be like a new release or anything. But then how do you find the fantasy? They have their recommendations and there's like lists, but it's not the same as like going to a bookstore or having a friend recommend, which is one thing nice about Booktube is that you can get some recommendations. So I just talked about, I think you should talk about okay, thank you. Yeah, just to say your piece. And there's a story that you guys may have heard about, because I think it went national, but I live in the Bay Area in San Francisco. And it was about this Asian woman. She's like, I don't know, in her 70s, maybe 80s, I think 70s. But she was just standing on a corner, minding her own business. And a guy came up and punched her in the eye. And then he was like a 40-year-old white guy. And then she fought back. And I think she picked up a piece of wood or something, and she hospitalized the guy. So you're like, yay, this old woman, fought back and screwed up a guy. But then if you read the story, I mean, this poor woman, she can't see out of her eye that he hit her with. She hasn't been able to eat. She's like really traumatized. And you just hear these stories and they're just, it's like, I thought we were past that, but we're not past that. Anything can set some people off. It's just a shame. Storygraph, thank you. That's the name of them. And of course, I don't know how to use it. And I don't know, is Storygraph something you can use on your computer? Because I swear to God, I don't use my phone for anything. I really have an aversion for like everything, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I do everything on my computer, not my iPhone, even though I have one. And also why I haven't got a new one yet, because I don't use it for anything. Why should I spend $1,000 on a phone that I'm not going to use? And I think the thing is, I just hate typing. On that little keyboard in the phone, it's just give me a full-size keyboard. Okay. One of the best books I've read about the things Asian conspiracy is Enter Chinatown. I haven't read that one. It's based on the website, although they do have an app for people who want to use it. Well, that's good to know. Well, I'm a Japanese American, and so I know, like, my mother was in a relocation camp, and all her sisters, and she had like 6 sisters, the oldest of which, Aunt Toshiko, she's in her 90s, and she was the oldest, and she's still like really sharp, so she can like tell stories. She was written up in a history of Japanese Americans in Monterey. It's where my mother's family's from. So, and I just don't think younger Asians really have those stories or understand what it was like when there was, because it wasn't that long ago when there was bans against interracial marriages, which included Asians. Okay. I got Storygraph. The book that I have read that I've recommended was George Takei, who was Sulu on Star Trek. Actually, let me cut the crease. I'm going to cut it in white. I've been doing gold. I just want to do white today. George Takei played Lieutenant Sulu on the original Star Trek, wrote a autobiography, excuse me, I forgot to get my mirror, called To the Stars. Which I do recommend, because I got it thinking it's going to be about Star Trek, but it's there's a little bit about Star Trek, but it was mostly about growing up as a Japanese American and being in the relocation camps during World War II. And also what it was like being a Asian American actor in the 50s and 60s. Okay. Cappuccino, I didn't learn in school about the relocation for camps. Really? Wow. I remember in history class there was something on it, and I went to mostly white. I was in like a white, what was it, middle school or high school, but it was just like a little, not a footnote, but like a little call out, like a little. It was like almost a little footnote in the history books, but it was there. Yeah, it was very wrong. Wow. They call this Enemy as a graphic novel. Oh. Blue Black, thank you. I've been thinking, it's been a while since I've read a graphic novel. But boy, I don't know if I want to read something that's so serious. there actually was in the 80s, 70s, there was a reparations for Japanese Americans that were placed in those camps. I think it was $20,000. My mother had passed away by that time, so she didn't get it. But a lot of people did at least get. I think it's more just being recognized that this awful thing happened. And here's something that they don't talk about often, is that Franklin Delano Roosevelt, I believe, he actually referred to them as concentration camps at one point. Because, of course, the Nazi concentration camps are just so I was going to say iconic, but they're so ingrained in our consciousness of how the extermination of the Jewish people in Nazi Germany that people don't hear that very often. Okay, I need to lay on some white shadow now before things get further. Echo, a middle grade novel, deals with the Japanese internment. In one of the stories, it follows 3 different children in different countries around the world. Oh, interesting. Echo. One of my Lovecraft video, the Lovecraft retelling by, what's her name, Ruth Ann Emrys, I think, was also dealt with the relocation camps. And that, of course, it's a fantasy horror retelling of Lovecraft, but the Lovecraft, how do I call them, the fishmen? What are they called? Anyway, they were put in the same camps as the people in the Japanese relocation camps. Kind of interesting twist. Dagon. I think Dagon's the name of the, I think it's the name of the fish god, or the fish god, the god of the fishmen. But yeah, those creatures. Yeah. Yep. It's the fish god. Hey, this is my small wing. Okay. So I need more brushes. It's really ridiculous. So I can use this little paintbrush. You mentioned the Bay Area. Were you born and raised in California? Thank you, Kayla. I was born in San Diego and lived in, I guess, Central California until I was around 10 years old. Actually, there was a brief time where my father worked in the Philippines. So for about 6 months, we lived in the Philippines. But mostly it was like around Monterey, Carmel Valley. And then he got a job he was a satellite. I don't even know if they have them anymore, but satellite stations were those big dishes. And he was I want to say manager, but they moved him out to Hemet, California, which is near Palm Springs, which is like living it's not like, it is living in the desert. And then he got promoted to when I say management, he was a manager's workstation, but then he went up to like being a director. But that was based in their headquarters in Maryland. So big shift for me was moving to the East Coast, like around, I guess I was 11. And I went to the University of Maryland there. We lived there. And when I was in college, I always wanted to go back to California. And me and two friends of mine, we just left college and got one-way plane tickets to San Francisco. Which is something you really only do when you're young. Okay. And I may be moving again because things just have gotten so expensive in the Bay Area. If work will allow me to work remotely full time, I'm thinking of leaving the Bay Area. Okie doke. So I think the eyes are almost there. I think I want to do a little bit of pink in the crease. Oh, Kaylee, are you University of Maryland? Go Terps. Are you in College Park? Yeah, I pretty much put myself through college. So I picked up as many campus jobs as I could. So in College Park, Maryland, I was an orientation advisor. So when you go as a freshman to get introduced to University of Maryland, I was one of those people that helped you select your first classes. And I was also a RA, resident advisor, where it's basically like being a house mother, house father. But it was free board or free room. Was it free room and board? I don't remember. But it's a good deal if you're putting yourself through school to. Kayla. So I was an orientation advisor at Maryland. Big surprise, I wasn't I wasn't really into sports in college, well, ever really. But I was so pissed off. There's a basketball coach at the time called Lefty Drysdale, I think that was his name. And we had one kid go through orientation, and he was like 7 feet tall, really tall, skinny, redheaded guy. And Lefty saw this young kid and wanted to recruit him for the basketball team without even knowing whether he played basketball or not, because basically he could just stand there and put the ball in the net. And this guy was like, no, I can't play basketball. I have these health issues. My lungs will collapse, which should have been enough, you would think, for Lefty to back off, but he didn't. He's like, oh, we can get around that. We can get around that. It's like, what a college sports sometimes can be sleazy. And then, well, I was also an orientation advisor. This isn't funny at all, but there was he was a really big name in college basketball, this player, and they thought he would like go places, but he died of, I think it was a cocaine overdose or something. So all the orientation advisors had to get trained on how to answer questions from parents that we would inevitably get regarding drug use on campus. That was fun. Oh boy. I really don't know how kids pay for college these days, because I was a resident of Maryland, so I went to University of Maryland, and I think everything, room, board, just going to the cafeteria 3 times a day, and your classes, I think it was under 5,000 a semester. Maybe it was like 5,000 a year, but the rate of inflation does not justify what kids are paying now for college. I just don't know how they do it, especially if you were like me. Well, I was disowned by my parents, so having parental help was not an issue. But I had some scholarships, and basically I came out not owing anything. Or maybe I had a small little Pell Grant or something. But yeah, I feel for kids today putting themselves through college. These eyes look okay? I can't tell. I think it's okay. College sports has become all about big money and big television and endorsement contracts. Yep. And here's the thing, why do athletes have to go to college? I mean, do you really need a degree to play football and basketball? I mean, if someone wants to be academic, let them be academic, but why tie it to sports? God, I remember in the one of the cafeterias listening to some of these, I think they were football players talking. They didn't have high IQs, let's just say that. Cappuccino, you're not in sports, but your dad loves college and following them. With them, I've seen how the money is really taken. Oh, yeah. Well, I think it was like that forever. I really don't know how you pay for your education and your health in the USA. It sounds so strange to have to pay a hospital. Yeah. And it's funny because the insurance used to be the evolution or the history of health insurance. It just used to be something really minor that somehow was offered probably back in the 40s or 50s or something, but it wasn't considered like a big thing. It was like considered like pet insurance. Oh, have some health insurance. But then as more companies started offering it as an incentive to employees, it became hospitals, I guess, just started jacking up their prices too, because the insurance companies will pay. And it's just gotten out of control. You know, it almost started like its little novelty, little niche insurance market, and it's just, I don't know how we can come out of it without government intervention. But yeah, it's a big issue in this country. You know, fortunately, my job has insurance that pays for me and my husband. But yeah, if we didn't have that, and it's also a disincentive for going off on your own. Like I'd have to make some hard choices to like start my own business or do anything or leave work for any reason because of insurance. It's weird. And I really don't understand the. This wasn't going to be a political channel. I really wasn't planning on talking about politics, but since we're here, I really don't understand the logic of not having everyone pay into the insurance system. Like it made sense, Obamacare. I mean, you may disagree with that. It's fine. But to me, it at least made sense that, everyone's going to need hospital care at some point. So everyone should pay into the system. But certain free market advocates is like, well, they shouldn't be able to, you should be able to choose whether or not you pay into the system, whether or not you use the system. So the individual mandate they thought it was argued that it curbed your freedom. I don't know. Just doesn't make sense to me. Okay. Okay, missing stuff. The only time I'm watching sports is when the Olympics is on. That's true. I actually do. My husband likes competitive like figure skating and that type of thing, so we do watch that. I have to say, and he liked that guy Ono. I think he was like a speed skater, so we like watched Ono. Only watch a tennis match, but like once a year, and that's all. Interesting. And the kids, often poor kids who depend on scholarships, aren't legally allowed to get any part of that money. They can't get endorsement deals or any kind of, for sports, yeah. I work in the tourist section, and when U.S. citizens need medical support, like having to call an ambulance, they are terrified until I explain to them everything is free. Hi, Lynette. The only sport I like is Australian rules football, which I assume is what we call soccer here, right? Here being the United States. Oh, I don't know if I like the eyes today. Actually, it doesn't look bad on camera. Of course, I always say that, but I don't really know for sure until I edit in Photoshop or something. Where's my black? Oh well, let's put in the white. Yeah, I can watch American football. Mostly because I had to watch it, but um, I can at least like follow it. I know what's going on. At least there's a halftime show. But I never could understand baseball. I think that is the most boring sport in the world. And basketball is just too fast for me. I have no idea what's going on. Aussie football is not soccer, nor is it. Oh, I have no idea what Aussie is. It like American football? Cricket is more boring than baseball. I don't know much about cricket either, except watching it on Downton Abbey or something. Okay. I have to get in to fix these lines. Okay. Okay, those are the eyes. Oh, actually, then I put some a little bit of white on the edge. There. Okay. Not like American football. No padding. Yikes. You know, there's a big issue in American football of brain injury because all the tackling. I mean, they have helmets and whatnot on, but the force of impact still moves that brain around and can bruise your brain. I heard that takes days to play a match in the role. Really, for cricket? Yeah, I'm not going to start watching cricket, I don't think. Test cricket match lasts for days. Wow. One-day cricket is the faster version of the game. I always wondered if baseball sort of evolved from cricket, maybe. I mean, there's bats and they hit something with the bat. What time is it? I should start to deepen the eyebrows. Yeah, one eyebrow is lower than the other. Ah. And I should put some. Yikes. So many steps. Okay. Now can we blend? Just me, are these eyebrows crazy? Oh boy. Okay. What is the product you use to hide your actual eyebrows? Oh, Elmer's glue. Courtney Love used something like a sticky lip gloss. That should not work. Do not use sticky lip gloss to hide your eyebrows. Yeah, glue stick. Glue, or at least it's Elmer's glue, dissolves, is water soluble, so it's not that big of a painful removal process. But some people use like liquid latex, and that's like much more painful. Yes, daylight savings started in the US. So yeah, it's probably why you got the time wrong. Sorry, I didn't even think about that. But they don't make, oh good. Yeah, sometimes those like evil witch eyebrows really can make you look angry. Okay, I think I lost some of my pink color, so I'm going to add that back on the cheeks. Okay. And how about brushing on? A little bit of white powder now. Am I glowing yet? Okay. Started last Sunday. There we go. Savings. I wish they would get rid of daylight savings time. Oh, well, it wasn't earlier for me, Blue Black. Okay. So, am I missing something? Well, obviously the lips. So let's just do the lips. Oh, you know what? I was going to try one of the UK Drag Race people. They line their lips in this flash palette. I wonder if that works, because that would save like at least purchasing one product. Oops. Is this going to work? I'm outlining in brown. I tell you, this may be better for me because it doesn't like skip around like I talk about the crayon on the beard area is like drawing crayon on sandpaper, but this seems to go on smoother. So I kind of like this. Excuse me. Let me get up closer. Is this really working? Well, as usual, my lips aren't even, but I like the smoothness of the lines. I'm doing that thing where I'm trying to even the lips by making one bigger and then the other bigger. So I better stop while I'm ahead. Hold on. Okay. Let's see what happens when I put lipstick over it. So hopefully that doesn't look too bad. Add some clown white. It's too much white. There we go. So let's see, what are we talking about? Last time they changed time in Europe, coming next October, every country must decide what times they would keep forever. I agree. So good. I wish we would. It just messes up our slate. No, that was Flash Paint that I use for, as face paint. And I saw another drag queen use it as eyeliner rather than, a lip pencil. So I think it worked out pretty good. Yeah. Thank you. So let's just throw on some lashes. Well, these are older lashes. Well, I like them, so. Okay. Two. Voila, how's that look? Oh boy. So I got my purple wig today. Oh, the clasp broke on this necklace. So I'm using one of these little magnet things. So let's see if this works. Yeah. Very good, very good. And these are some new earrings. Love how big they are. Okay. Oh. And some gloves. I forgot a bracelet. Oh well. And there we have it. Look. So, now that I'm looking at it, there's a lot of white under the eyebrow. I'm not mad about it. I toned down my cheeks from last week. I had like these really dark cheeks. Well, it's a learning process, and I'm still learning. Oh, boy. Barely watching the news. Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't hear about that. Big floods in Australia. Yikes. I haven't heard. Oh, fit to be read. Thank you. You're the one that says I have the Bene Gesserit voice. Subscribe to my channel. No, I'm just kidding. I love the wig. The blue. Oh yeah, this is a astrology background. It's actually been raining in the Bay Area a little bit. Nothing like flood worthy. It's finally all put together. Oh, thank you. You like the eyes? Yeah, I like the gold on the crease, but the white really does make it pop. To be read. Devlin, do you watch Drag? Of course, I watch Drag Race. And if you're watching the UK Drag Race, would I spoil it by saying who the winner is? But it's the person I wanted to won, so that's good. Oh yes, big earrings, big drag earrings, big purple wig. Okay, subscribed. And I've subscribed to you too. Okay, so yeah, I think this is it. I think I'm going to go film some videos. And thank you again for joining me. This makes it so much easier when I'm sharing things with you to get ready and drag, because otherwise it's a long, lonely process. So I guess I'm going to head out now. Once again, thank you. And may all the books you read be blessed.